Another school year is about to begin here in Greenville, and it doesn't look like anything that anyone would have expected or wanted when 2020 began. A new school year always brings with it both a sense of anxiety and anticipation. It is always exciting to get new supplies for the school year, maybe even a new outfit for the first day. Mom and Dad want to capture and remember the first day moments. So before you head off, you have to take a picture before the kids rush out the door and get on the bus or load into the carpool and head to campus. Everything is new. There's a fresh start, and that's exciting. It can also bring up a sense of nervousness within you about how you will take to new subjects, teachers you've never learned from, classrooms you've never sat in, and certainly classmates you've never interacted with. Each year, our congregation holds a blessing moment in worship before the new school year begins. We invite all students, teachers, administrators, staff members, really anyone who is involved in the education and the development of our future leaders to come forward in front of the congregation. We invite them to bring their bag or backpack or something that would represent the journey of the new school year on which they are about to embark, and we ask God's blessings upon them. That moment will actually be this Sunday morning as we gather in our field on our church campus at 10 o'clock outside for a brief moment of outdoor masked and socially distant worship experience. That blessing moment is so much more profound this year, it seems. The anxieties for students, everyone involved in leading and educating them, and especially parents, are so heightened by the unknown that this school year presents. And we need to ask God's blessings upon them all. We need to ask that God would watch over them, keep them healthy and safe, wherever they are learning, in the classroom, at home, or somewhere else. We need to ask that whatever this year brings, they will all feel a sense of peace, a sense of comfort, and the assurance to know that God has equipped them all to meet this moment, to succeed, and to thrive. We at ARBC have constantly been thinking about students and everyone tasked with their education and protection lately. We have many teachers, administrators, and students in our congregation. My mother was a teacher. My brother and my brother-in-law are teachers now in the Atlanta area. They've already gone back to their classrooms. My sister is in the educational field, and my sister-in-law once served in a student ministry capacity, supporting students at one of their local high schools. I recognize that teachers are some of the most essential and yet underappreciated people in our society. They are heroes. Every one of us who have had any success in life are who we are today because of the teachers in our lives who have invested in us. So if you haven't thought about and prayed for or thanked a teacher who has influenced you lately, you really should. They don't do it for the praise or thanks. They certainly don't do it for the money. They feel a sense of calling. For some of them, it's a divine calling, but we should thank them and support them no matter what. We should pray that they are blessed by every strange experience they will have in this school year, even if it's driven as much by pandemic as anything else. And I ask that you join me in praying for all students and educators and their families, not just on this Sunday, but every day. And then pray for us here at ARBC as we find ways to simply support them because we're grateful for them all, and we want to share the love of Christ with them. Please pray for our entire ministry team in all areas of ARBC life as well. But specifically, with students unable to be on campus at the start of the school year, we are preparing our campus to welcome students for e-learning. They will have a safe, loving, Christ-centered environment to come, connect with their classes online, and to learn. And their parents will be able to go to work and to continue to provide for their families with the peace of mind that their children are cared for. And their teachers will as well. Pray that God's Spirit would be clearly felt in all that takes place. Pray for the e-learning facilitators that are joining our team. Pray for Reverend Bridget Kokolas, our minister to families, who is spearheading this entire effort and who is working tirelessly to make sure the environment is exactly what the students need. I'm always grateful for her ministry, but now more than ever. And pray for Laura Walker in our office as well, who is ensuring that digital platforms are available to meet registrations needs that will change every week, and who is constantly communicating with anxious parents to make this process easier for them. I pray God will lift up everyone involved in this ministry initiative and across all of our ministry areas. Now, this is my midweek message time, so of course I need to tie this back to the Scriptures. Since I have been thinking a lot about everyone trying to get back to the classroom, I've been thinking some, at least, about the lessons that we all learn in the classroom. It isn't always easy to be in a classroom environment. There's a lot of stress with grades and projects and constant assessments and other people around you. But the more time passes after you leave the classroom, if you're like me, the more you might realize just how great it actually was. And the more time passes, the more you forget the lessons you learned there. And I don't just mean lessons that are based in the subjects that you were taught. We also forget the necessary lessons learned in the classroom environment. Lessons taught by constantly being in proximity with others. You have to relate to your classmates, like it or not. Especially in elementary school, you're pretty much stuck together. In order for everything to happen in the way that it must, the relational dynamics must be such that everyone is in agreement on what is acceptable behavior and what is not. You have to look beyond yourself to everyone else around you. Everyone must realize how their actions impact those around them. Now, Jesus knew that that just wasn't an aspect of the classroom alone. It was actually part of everyday life. If we were going to live appropriately in God's realm and as representatives of God in the world, then one of the most important things that we could grasp is the fact that we are in relationship with everyone around us, like it or not. And what we do has an impact on those around us, whether we realize it or not. So in the Sermon on the Mount, which we've been studying lately, Jesus gives it to us plain. It's often called the Golden Rule. It comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 12. Jesus says, "In everything, do to others as you would have them do to you. For this is the law and the prophets." It is so simple to say. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Almost everyone who has ever heard it can repeat it. And most people get it in concept. You are going to have other people in your life, like it or not. No one's truly an island. You'll have to interact with other people at some point. So when you do, treat them the way that you would want them to treat you. Show them respect and kindness. Offer them help in ways you would want help. Whatever is good in relationships that you would want for yourself, well, offer that to the other person before they even ask for it. In Matthew's Gospel, this simple verse can basically be seen to sum up the entire Sermon on the Mount to this point. If you remember nothing else from this compilation of Jesus' teachings, then remember that and try to put it in practice. In everything, do to others as you would have them do to you. If there's need for further clarification, well, Jesus offers that later in the Gospel of Matthew as well, specifically in chapter 22. He ties this summation not only to his teachings, but also to the teachings from the law and the prophets. All of the commandments and teachings from the Hebrew Scriptures have this as part of the very heart of what it means to live in the covenant with God and with others. But when people kept asking Jesus for specifics, he focused on what we call the greatest commandments. Treat everyone like you would want to be treated, sure, but specifically treat them with love. Love God with everything you have. That is the greatest commandment. But there is another commandment that you must also fulfill if you are going to be able to fully love God. You must also love your neighbor as you love yourself. Everyone needs to know that they are loved and capable of loving. So love others as you would want to be loved. This is an important lesson for everyone in the classroom because you can't escape each other. If there's going to be a sense of equilibrium in the class, well, you have to consider everyone else and their feelings, their concerns, just as you would want them to consider yours. But maybe it's a good time for us to remember that lesson as adults outside of the classroom as well. Our world would be a much better place if we simply considered how others around us would want to be treated. I think most of us go through life so concerned, and yes, in this time, perhaps understandably concerned, with ourselves and everything that we are going through, that we fail to see beyond ourselves. Those outside of our immediate family and friends rarely enter our consciousness. We don't care if what we do bothers someone else, as long as we feel we are operating within our perceived individual rights. We rarely stop to consider how what we are doing impacts those around us. Yet Jesus calls us to constantly be aware of how our actions impact others. Maybe we should think of rules of life, of how we would treat others. A list of expectations, perhaps, for the ways we will commit to conducting ourselves each day and each moment so that others who come into contact with us are better at the end of the interaction, no matter how long or short, than when they began. What would you consider adding to your list? With the e-learning initiative we're developing to support families in our community right now, each group of students will have a covenant to help them remember their obligations and expectations to each other. We hope it will be reinforced at home as well, and we hope we'll embrace it in all of our lives. It sets an excellent tone for how everyone should consider not just themselves, but everyone around them as well. And this is what it says. I have the right to be happy and to be treated with kindness in this classroom. I have the responsibility to treat others with kindness. This means that no one will laugh at me, ignore me, or hurt my feelings, nor will I do this to others. I have the right to be healthy and safe, and the responsibility to help others be healthy and safe. This means that I will wear my mask when walking in the halls and going to the restroom. I will also wash my hands often. I have the right to hear and be heard in this classroom and have the responsibility to listen to others. This means that no one will yell, scream, or shout. My opinion and needs will be considered in any plans that we make, and I will respect the opinions and needs of others. I have a right in this classroom to learn. This means that I can ask questions without being interrupted or made fun of. I also have the responsibility to respect the feelings and opinions of others and to not interrupt them or make fun of them. I look forward to respecting your rights and mine. I will respect the person's desk I am sitting near and the classroom that I am in. I will not destroy, write on, or misuse the things at their desk or in this classroom because I do not want anyone to destroy the things that belong to me. It's simple, but I absolutely love this. And sometimes that simple saying works. Just do to others as you would have them do to you, or saying specifically, love others as you would want to be loved. But if we forget what that is like, sometimes we need to be reminded of our covenant responsibilities to one another with more specific lists. So imagine that you were in covenant with those beyond your family, friends, coworkers, classmates, church family, and other associates. In fact, imagine that God was drawing us all into covenant that puts this golden rule obligation on all relationships we have with others, regardless of how brief. What reminders would you need to ensure you were treating others as you would want to be treated? Something to consider today and in the days to come. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Just do this, and the world will be a much better place.